Oh, hello there.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be reviewing this new horn that I just got in the mail. When I say new, it's from the 1970s. It is a King 5B custom tenor trombone with dual valves and a special tuning. So I have been looking for ages for a tenor trombone with two valves, specifically a small bore tenor trombone with two valves, but a large bore tenor trombone with two valves will do. And I've been looking on different sites. I stumbled upon this King 5B on Brass Ark, and that's run by Noah. And Noah's great to communicate with and talk with. I was going through the Brass Ark site and I was looking through trombones. I was looking for a dual trigger tenor trombone with independent valves, not a dependent system. I wanted all the options of independent system. And so I was like, well, a King trombone with a tenor trombone with an inline valve. Now this has a 9-inch bell, so it's a little bit bigger than like, let's say a Con 88H or something like that. But it's still very much a tenor trombone in its bore size. So the bore size is 0.547, and I believe the bore size in the bell is also 0.547 for the most part. The slide is definitely 0.547. I tried to put it on backwards. I do not believe this one's dual bore. I think it's 547 the whole way through. But back to Brass Ark, we'll get more into the specs in a minute, but back to Brass Ark. So I found this and I was like, well, this seems too good to be true for the price. So I messaged Noah, because you can't buy it directly through the site. He says on there very clearly that, you know, the best way to reach out to him is like email, and you get this email correspondence going with him, and he likes to know about the history of instruments, and I think he collects and buys and sells rare and unique instruments. So I messaged with Noah back and forth for a while. I asked a couple of questions. Specifically, one of them was, what was this tape doing on here? And I think the previous owner has put this on here to protect it, but of course, that probably is doing more harm than good on there. I might remove that or get that removed at some point. But I asked him a couple questions, and you know, Yet on the site plays pretty good, and it's safe to say after playing it, and I'll definitely play in this video, that it plays very well. Better than I ever could have expected. So I'm very excited to have this horn. Again, from Brass Ark, and thank you to Noah for setting me up with this instrument. Very happy with it, and excited to show this off to everyone. So I did just get this in the mail today. It came in a big rectangular box, and brought the box in. Inside the box was a hard case. Two of the three valves open, or two of the three latches opened on the hard case. The third one was stuck to the point where I could not open it, so I got a hammer. And to be fair, this was sold as is on the website, so it is sold as is, and I only need two of three latches on the hard case anyway. So I got the hammer and I opened the third latch that way. So now I have two working latches on the hard case. Anyways, moot point, it's still a lovely case, and I'll be using that. So I opened the case. Inside the case there were a couple of towels, a pencil, and a name tag that said property of Billy. And I'll get more into Billy and the history behind this trombone in a second video, because I can only make this video so long for this evening, I think. Plus I want to get some playing in on this instrument for this video as well. But needless to say, if you're interested in more of the history, that's probably coming out tomorrow, and who Billy was and why this is the custom trombone that it is. So like I say, this is a King 5B with a 9-inch bell. It has two triggers, of course. The one that we all know and love on large bore trombones is the F trigger. You can hear it's pretty clanky, which is okay. It's a small price to pay for how awesome this horn is. I can figure out the clankiness at some point. So F trigger there. And then over here, now if you think about a regular bass trombone, of course this is a tenor, so it's special in that way too. But if you think about a regular bass trombone, the modern ones are usually in F, first valve, and then the second valve, second trigger, is in G flat. This tenor trombone, the second valve is in G. So if you think of, what's his name, Denson Paul Pollard or something like that. Yeah, he played in, I can't remember where he played, but he plays on a bass trombone with an F and G tuning. This has that same setup where it has the F first valve and the G second valve. And the second valve links up here pretty far. So if I tilt this over, I push down the valve, you can see the linkage here. It's actually like two rods connected. It goes up and it links way up here to the second valve. So the regular tuning, of course, runs through the horn. The F horn is here and it wraps around and the air goes through this set. So the second valve is here, and when you push this valve down, where is that? The air runs through this G set of tubing. And so when you push both valves down, your horn is in E flat. In the normal bass trombone blend, it would be in the key of D when you push both valves down. But because this is F and G, when you push both down, you get E flat in first position. A little bit more about this horn. This on here is the ergo bone, so that I can put it on my chair and I don't have to worry about the shoulder pressure on my shoulder over here, because it has some pain sometimes. So it helps me hold the trombone up without having to rely as much on my shoulder. So that didn't come with it. That is a separate thing. They sell these on ergo bone, not a sponsor, but could be someday. Let me know. 4.547 bore the whole way through. Everything worked when it came in the mail. The slide is great. I'd give the slide like a 9 out of 10. Slide action wise, the valves, I have no complaints there. They're clanky, but that's what I would expect. Other than that, they're fast, and I like how they feel when I push them. The bell is, you can see the orangeness of this bell. It's made with the, whatever King used for their old lacquer. That's what this bell is. I believe the slide's nickel, but the bell is this older orangish yellow lacquer that they used, and I just think it looks awesome. So with this G valve, it turns out that it is attached to, turn it this way, the main tuning slide. So if I pull out the main slide, this G valve comes with it. So in order to tune this thing, you have to loosen this screw here and allow these to move freely so that I can pull out the main tuning slide without it affecting this G valve. Because earlier I thought maybe I broke it or something was up, or maybe a valve was misaligned. I had this pulled, I tried to pull this out, and this G valve kind of turned halfway, and I was getting a super airy sound, and I thought, well, what have I done? It turns out, right, when you move the main valve, this trigger kind of moves up and down with it unless you unscrew this first, and then you can screw it back into the appropriate size to match the main tuning slide. So I found that interesting. By accident, I thankfully fixed it, and sounds great now. The other interesting feature of this is the mouthpiece receiver here is not a standard, like, modern large shank. You may think, well, this one looks like it fits pretty well. It does. It's a Grego 5, but it doesn't fit. It goes down in too far. It fits in the Con 88H a lot differently. Here's a really good example. This is a Dennis Wick 3AL Heritage. And if I put this in here, now again, this is very much a large shank mouthpiece, and I can prove that by sticking it in the Con real quick, and I think I will, just to prove my point. So if I put this in the Con, you'll see it goes into about here, and you'll obviously see that's where the mark is on there from where it always goes into a certain point. Now on this King 5B, this is like an extra wide mouthpiece receiver. Let me show you what I mean. So if I take the same Heritage 3AL and I put it in this King 5B, here's the line, right? About here. If I put it in here, there's the line, but it keeps going. It almost swallows the mouthpiece, and it fits tight enough that it plays, I think, really well with it. But this is definitely an extra wide mouthpiece receiver because it goes the whole way in. I was like, well, maybe it's a tenor trombone mouthpiece problem, but I think the bass ones, this is a Schilke 59 for bass trombone, it has the same problem, right? So it usually goes up to, you can see the line where it usually goes up to. If I put it in here, there's the line, it swallows it. It takes it the whole way to here to the curves in the mouthpiece. Still plays fine, but like I say, point being and proven, this is an extra wide receiver. I've seen some arguments on like trombone, on the trombone chat over whether the 547, somebody had a mouthpiece and they were like, well, that's a small shank mouthpiece, and of course it swallows the mouthpiece because it's a large bore horn or whatever, you need an adapter. But no, I don't think that was the case in their point. What they were saying is this definitely swallows large bore mouthpieces much further than it should. Some of them with like extra long, like the Grego here, it seems that it actually kind of fits in there pretty well. I have a Schulke 53 and 51 that seem to fit in here pretty well too, that are large bore. But the 59 and the 58 I have, it just eats the mouthpiece. I don't know. Maybe it adds some extra tone to the sound. Either way, really like it. And now I think I've talked way too much, so let's get to what we're actually here for, which is the playing of this beautiful instrument.